All right, so the coaches are going to need your help this AAU season with keeping score. We will at times need to have 2 scorekeepers that know how to keep score on this score sheet, 2 line judges, and then also somebody to just keep score on the scoreboard. Sometimes we have to do that on 2 courts, so we need to have a couple people that feel confident in how to keep score on a score sheet. So I made this video. We're going to make it as simple as possible. We won't go into as much detail as we would at the high school level. If you have any questions, feel free to just send me a text message or ask the coaches. I know most of the coaches at least are a little familiar with it. So this is what the sheet's going to look like. You could be sitting in one of 2 places in the gym. You can be sitting at the scores table, can either be on the side of the court. So when you look at the net, you would have a team on the left side of the net and a team on the right side of the net. Just visualize this as being the net. There are other places where the scores table might be behind the court. So if you look across the net, that would be this team. If you're behind the court, this is the team that's closest to you. So first set, you're going to set up, if you're on the side of the court, the team that's on the left goes here. The team that's on the right of the net goes here. So for this purpose, we're just going to say that our Blackhawk team are here, and we'll just say that they're playing Lamar's here. So each coach is going to be responsible for bringing you their lineup, and their lineup should be written in serve order. So they'll hand you a sheet or they'll just come over and tell it to you. So Lamar's comes over and tells you it's 2, 6, 3, 8, 1, and 7. That would mean that when they first serve, number 2 will be the first person to serve. And the Blackhawks give you number 5, 3, 4, 9, 11, and 12. So that would be their serve order as well. Other things that you need to mark on the sheet before the match actually starts is I would mark the set. So we're set number 1. And then I would also go in and we need to decide who's first serve. Some tournaments, it will be listed on the schedule for the day. A lot of times it's the team listed first on the schedule. Other times they may do a coin toss. For this purpose, we'll just say Lamar's has the first serve. So you get this all written out. First thing that you need to do is you need to check to see that they're in the right order. So your ref, one of the coaches, will probably come over and grab the sheet and check for you. But basically you need to make sure that number 2's in the serving spot, 6 would be in the front right, 3 in the middle front, 8 in the front left, 1 would be in the back row left side, and 7 would be in the middle back. So we go counterclockwise. You also need to check our lineup. So you have number 5, 3, 4, 9, 11, and 12. So number 5 will be our first server, but she would actually be in the front row on the right-hand side, and she'll rotate back into that serving spot when we get the serve. One more thing that you should write on the scoreboard, on the score sheet before you start, is if they have a libero, you're going to just write their libero number right there. We're going to make this a different number because I already had a number 1 in there. So we're going to go to number 10. Okay, so we're ready to go. I'm doing this in marker or pen. You guys probably want to do it in pencil until you get the hang of it. But I'll show you why I do it in pen in a little bit here. So number 2 is Lamar's first server. She goes back and she serves an ace and she scores the first point. So I'm going to write a number 1 in that box saying that she scored point 1. I'm also going to come over here to the running score and I'm going to mark off the 1. Make sure that these 2 numbers match so that we know that the score is right. Number 2 serves again, and this time her outside hitter gets a kill, and Lamar scores another point. So now the score is 2-0. Number 2 goes back to serve for a third time, but this time she misses her serve. So Lamar's does not get a point. We're going to put just a dash. That dash means that it is a side out or a loss of rally. So now your Blackhawks have 1 point. They got that point without having to serve the ball. So we're going to come over to the next person who's serving, which would be number 5. We're going to write that we have 1 point, and we're just going to circle it. And that indicates that that point was scored on a loss of rally, not from us serving. So number 5 goes back. She gets ready to serve, and she foot faults, so we don't get the point. So it's a side out. So we write the dash. We're going to come over here and mark that Lamar's now has 3 points. Number 6 is their next server. We're going to come over and we're going to write that 3rd point in the next box, and we're going to circle it because it was a point scored by loss of rally. Number 6 misses her serve, so we're going to have a side out. Our next server is number 3. We know that we have point number 2 because we just sided out. We're going to make sure our scores match. Number 3 is a really good server. She comes in and she gets 3 aces. So every time we score a point or win a rally, we should be writing in this box. They get a kill. So we don't win the point. We need to write a dash for a side out. We should make sure that these scores match in the middle. We're going to come over here. Number 3 should be serving, but say number 3 isn't a very good server, or she's not going to play the back row. This coach wants to make a sub. So we're going to cross this number 3 out, and she's subbing number 10. So I'm going to write the 10 there. So we know now that number 10 should be the next server, but she also wants number 7 to come out because she's gone to the front row. So we come down here and cross out number 7 and write number 9. You'll notice on the bottom, you need to tally those subs so that we know that we've had 2 substitutions for Lamar's. So number 10 is our next server. We're going to put in their side out point from siding out over here. She goes back and serves, and she scores 2 points for Lamar's. Blackhawks are able to side out and win that next point. So we're going to come over here, say they're going to sub. Number 6 comes in. I make sure I mark my sub there. Make sure that I give us the point for the side out. That's really important. A lot of people that struggle, they forget to write that side out point. So you want to make sure you do that. So now the score is 6-6. Blackhawks score quite a few points in a row. Lamar's is able to get a side out. Lamar's comes over here. They get point number 7 for their side out point, but then they side out right away. So Hinton now has 12 points because of their side out point. Score is 12-7. Hinton scores 2 more points. The score is now 14-7, and Lamar's decides they probably better call a timeout. You'll notice up here in this box, it says timeout. You're just going to come in and you're going to write Lamar's score first, so 7, and then you're going to write Hinton's score to 14. Each team gets 2 timeouts per set, so it's really important to keep track. You're also going to come over here to this box and you're going to write a TX, which means that it is the opponent that called that timeout. You're always going to write on the side where they're still scoring. So we're serves over here, so we're writing in these boxes. Okay, so now we know that Lamar's called a timeout. The score was 7-14, and we can see exactly where in the game they called that timeout. So Hinton comes back and they serve, and they get point 15. Sometimes I'm not very good at keeping that middle score up to date. Then Lamar sides out. They come and score. So they get 8 for their side out. They score a few more points. Hinton's able to get a side out. So we now have 16. And Hinton's going to sub number 2 for number 11. Lamar's is able to side out right away. And they're going to score 13. Then they're going to score 14 and 15. And we're able to get a side out. Now, say that the libero is going to serve for number 12. So 12 is rotated to the back row. The libero is serving for her. I'm going to put a triangle right there. So I know that the libero can only serve in these 2 lines. So we've got point number 17 on the side out. The libero serves point number 18. I am also going to put a triangle around that point number 18. She sides out. You'll notice we're out of lines. We're rotating back, and number 2 has made it all the way back around. If you're doing this in pencil, I recommend you skip this box and move over a box. Because I'm doing it in pen, I could just write there, but I'll skip a box to show you. So we have point 16, and I'm going to circle it because it was a side out point. Hinton's able to side out right away. So now Hinton is at 19 points. Number 5 does a great job of serving. And she goes all the way through and scores 21, and we're playing to 21, so the game is over. So we just come in here, this final score, and we're going to write 21-16. I think that's pretty simple. I didn't add some of the other intricacies that we need. I would say the only thing is, say Hinton calls a timeout because they see something that they want to tell them about Lamar's and they're still serving. So if we're serving over here and we call a timeout, instead of writing TX, we would just write T. If you guys have any questions, let me know. I can happily maybe sit down with you at some point, but we are going to need a couple people to do this at our first tournaments coming this Saturday. Thanks for all your help.